Welcome to another dojo topic. Our topic today is if life were an amusement park. And our live session today on this topic, well, we went 45, almost 2 hours over. Um, does that tell you anything? Like this topic really got us going. There were some big realizations there, and we really had a good time. And so I'm really looking forward to sharing this with you. And obviously, there is something calling to you about this topic. Otherwise, you wouldn't have attracted this video. So welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Again, we meet every Tuesday live virtually at the dojo. Please feel free to join us. There'll be links in the description if you want to check it out. And if not, again, I post a new topic every week on Tuesday. So subscribe, stay in tune. And as I mentioned, today's topic is if life were an amusement park. And it's this topic to me was just so exciting. It was fun to create, and I hope you get everything out of it that you were looking for. As a reminder, last week's topic was prioritizing self-respect over materialization. And we had some big ahas with this topic too. So if you didn't get to join us live or you haven't yet seen the video, I'll put a link to it at the end of this video so that you can check it out, see what you think. Okay, today, let's get going. How many times have we been told that life is an illusion and nothing we see is as it seems? When you look at this slide, do you see a black shape in the middle of the frame, or do you see two white profiles facing each other? What do you see? How about this picture? Do you see a young lady or an old hag? Eyesight is strongly influenced by what the mind perceives. So if our eyesight can be so easily deceived, are you open to considering that the way you see or experience your life could also be an illusion? What if the very thing that looks or feels like something unwanted is actually the very thing that can bring you happiness, peace of mind, joy? Have you ever considered that? To test this theory, I'm going to ask you to use your imagination today and ask yourself the question, if life were an amusement park, what would I choose to ride over and over and over again? And which rides would you skip? Each one of us is the infinite being experiencing life individually, which means we get to choose the experiences we want to have. Every experience is a ride we can choose to ride or not ride. But how often do we find ourselves on a ride we don't enjoy? There's the friends and family ride, the wheel of negative thoughts continually going around and around and around in our mind, the relationship ride, the unhealthy food choices ride, the ride of fear and uncertainty. And what about the rides of anxiety, wealth, rejection, or the carousel of, I'm not ready yet? What if the rides you want to avoid are the very rides your soul signed up for? What if the ride is the transformation, and the only reason you're watching from the sidelines, too scared to ride and unsure to say yes, is because no one's ever told you that you can exit the ride you don't like whenever you want? I gave an example of this today when, we're talking about rides here. So just to kind of put it into perspective of what I'm talking about. When I was going through my divorce of a 32-year marriage with my ex-husband, he called me one day. I was at work and he was just screaming and yelling on the phone and berating and, going on and on and on. And all of a sudden it occurred to me, all I have to do is hang up. So I just hit the end button on my phone. And that never occurred to me when we were married, prior to going through the divorce, because I was on that ride of Okay, I see how this is going. I know how to diffuse it. I know what needs to be done after, and then bring it back to this. And so, there was that ride, and that's how I'm explaining all this today. That ride we get on of, okay, this is the way it is, this is the way it is, but we never stop to think that, like hitting the end button, we could just get off the ride. We don't have to stay on that ride. Maybe that'll kind of help put it into perspective for you today, what this is all about. So, you know, what if nobody ever told you? You can just get off the ride. I mean, even if somebody had said to me, you don't have to take that. When someone is calling you on the phone, especially at work, and they're like ripping you up and everything, you don't have to sit there and just listen and, hope that nobody can overhear and, be shrinking inside and not feeling your best. You don't have to take that, but yet we believe we do have to take that. We do believe we have to stay on that ride. The ride you choose may shake you up, flip you upside down, or make you scream. But baby, that's where the breakthroughs happen. You get to decide whether or not you get on the ride, stay on the ride, or stay off the ride forever. Fear can't stop you. Anxiety doesn't define you. And wealth, are you ready for that ride? Wealth is a vibration. And when you choose the ride of appreciation, you are prioritizing your value. It's no accident that we use the word appreciate to describe something that rises in value. You yourself are a medium of exchange. There are no coincidences in life. All of these money terms can also be applied to us individually. Invest in yourself. Find balance. What are you interested in? Increasing your awareness. How are you exchanging conversation, energy with others? How do you value yourself? What do you believe is your common sense? Whether you're spelling it CENTS or SENSE. The mind's not really thinking about how things are spelled, but when we're using these words all the time, I think we talked about these kind of words either last week or 2 weeks ago about how when we put words out into the universe, it's like that's what spelling is all about. We're creating this spell of anticipation, what we expect to get back. So if you decide, hey, you know what? I am going to get on the ride of appreciation. I am going to start looking around and appreciating myself, my surroundings, what I have. And that doesn't mean to force yourself into something that you don't really want and say, well, I've got to find something good to come out of this. But it's very interesting how words that we use about something that we think means one thing actually are also feeding into the energy of something else. So it's really interesting for us when we get to stop and think about, yeah, what words am I using? And what is the energy, the vibrational frequency that I'm using these words? How am I investing in myself? Do I enjoy? What is the return of exchange in how I'm investing in myself? See, could be a really fun ride to be on, or it could be a ride maybe that you want to avoid, that you're just like, no, I don't want to get on that ride at all because of whatever thoughts are going through your head. You can choose the ride of doubt, and someone else can choose the ride of happiness. And neither of you will be able to fully understand the other's experience unless you experience it for yourself. Someone can explain Mr. Toad's wild ride to you, but until you've experienced it for yourself, how will you know if it's something you enjoy? Remember, the mind is only a tool to create the life you want. Thinking was made for you to order what you want, not to indulge in the thought process. The mind's only job is to receive the order and make it appear for you. And this is what we were talking about a couple weeks ago when we were talking about awareness, right? When you're aware of what's going on, when you are prioritizing awareness, you are taking yourself out of the thinking mind, out of the duality of the mind. And when you are being awareness, you are staying out of the duality of the mind, the thinking mind. And the thinking mind is that mind that's like giving definitions to everything. Like I can look out my window here and see the beautiful sunshine coming in. And then if I allow thoughts to happen, I can say, oh, that I love the sun shining through the window. It feels so vibrant and alive, and it just makes me feel all giddy and happy, like I want to go outside and enjoy. Or I can look at it and say, oh, the sun is coming through. I wonder how hot it's going to get today. And I wonder if I should turn the air conditioning on. And so you see, the thinking mind can send us in many, many directions. But the mind is, I'm gonna just read this sentence to you again. The mind is only a tool to create the life you want. But how are you going to create the life you want if you don't know what you want? And a lot of people don't really know what they want because they've gotten into the habit of thinking about what they don't want. What do we say to ourselves? I don't want the dog to bite. I don't want to have bills that I can't pay. I don't want this person to treat me unkindly. We think about things in the way that we don't want them. And the universe doesn't hear the words don't, not, and no. It only feels our vibration. So when you're saying, I don't want this person to treat me unkindly, the emphasis that you're putting on it, the vibrational frequency is concentrating on that person treating you unkindly, and the universe responds in kind because that's the frequency that you're putting out there. So think about the orders that you're placing, and you're placing the orders with the words and the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions that you are choosing. And of course, the thoughts we think create feelings and emotions, and those feelings and emotions create thoughts, and it just keeps going on and on, like the Ferris wheel just keeps going around and it never stops. So this is your opportunity to say, hey, am I on a ride that I'm not enjoying anymore? Why did I even get on this ride? You are the only one who holds the key to your value and your worth. And you speak your value and your worth into existence with every thought and every word that you choose. You are the infinite being. You are awareness aware of itself. If you are on a ride that no longer serves you, exit the ride and choose one that's more enjoyable, rewarding, and fun. If you are experiencing something unpleasant in your life, what makes you think you're required to stay on that ride? Just like I was talking about, we don't have to stay on the ride. But all those years, it never occurred to me like, whoa, I don't have to take this. I don't have to listen to this berating conversation on the phone. I could just hit end. Now, of course, when I was still in the marriage, there were things that would happen afterwards had I made that choice. But there again, when we make different choices, yes, the outcome will change. That's cause and effect. When you change the cause, the effect changes. Cause and effect. But we often think that the effect is reality, and this is what we have to live with. This is what we have to deal with. We have no choice. But you really do have a choice. And when you can make it fun, like the topic today of the amusement park, when you can ask yourself, okay, if life is just an illusion and I am creating this stuff that I don't want, well, what if I'm on this ride of unhappiness? What if I'm on this ride of lack and poverty? What if it's just a ride? What if I can say, you know what? I'm choosing to get off this ride. And then you ask yourself, okay, so what ride do I want to get on? Let's ride the ride of abundance. Let's ride the ride of appreciation and prosperity. Now, see, when you start thinking in those terms, as your thoughts change, and when your thoughts change, your words change, and when your words change, everything just starts shifting in that direction of more happiness, love, light, joy. This is the way that we create what we do want and stay in a powerful state of being instead of being in that state of being that is more primal, which is that fight, flight, or freeze. And remember, your state of being is how you feel in any given moment. So make it fun. Make life fun. Ask yourself, oh, what ride am I on right now that I really I'm just done with this, man. I don't want to be on this ride anymore. And then look for the ride that you do want to be on. So that's concentrating on what you do want rather than what you don't want. You can make this as fun as you want it to be. And if you want any kind of support with this stuff, this work, this information, visit me at masteringyourbeliefs.com. Get your free resources, look around, poke around, see what calls to you, because whatever calls to you in the moment, that's exactly what you're going to need or draw to you in that moment. In the meantime, this is Nancy Muller, the one and only Life Sensei, saying ciao for now.